These women are not ordinary women. They are preachers. They are Vaishnavas. By their association, one becomes a Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, during a morning walk, March 27, 1974. Hare Krishna. Welcome to a Bond of Love interview series brought to you by the Vaishnavi Ministry North America. These conversations allow us to dive into the memories and wisdom of Srila Prabhupada's female disciples. I'm Shama Mohini Devidasi, and today I'm delighted for the opportunity to sit down for an inspiring conversation with Her Grace Sukhada Devidasi. Her Grace Sukhada Devidasi began her journey in Krishna Consciousness in September of 1970 at the age of 17, when she first visited the ISKCON temple in Boston. Although unfamiliar with Krishna consciousness at the time, she was immediately drawn to the philosophy and practices she encountered. As she started her senior year of high school, she continued visiting the temple as often as possible. However, her parents discovered she was skipping school to attend the temple. She had to wait until she turned 18 and completed high school before moving in full time. In 1971, she received initiation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and served at the Boston Temple until December of 1972. While in Boston, she actively participated in daily Sankirtan. In 1972, she relocated to Pittsburgh Temple, where she took on the role of temple cook while continuing to go out on Sankirtan. It was in Pittsburgh that she met her husband, Mahendra Prabhu, with whom she shared 50 years of marriage until his passing in August 2023. In 1976, Mahendra Prabhu was invited to serve at the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, BBT, in Los Angeles. Together, they had 5 children, but in 1978, just 2 months after Srila Prabhupada's departure, they experienced the tragic loss of their second daughter at the age of 2.5. Today, their family has grown to include 10 grandchildren. While Her Grace Sukhada Devidasi performed many temple services in her early years as a devotee, she considers her primary service to be that of a mother. She feels deeply grateful that by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, she was able to fulfill this role without much interference or criticism due to her husband's essential service. When the Gurukula in Los Angeles moved to Three Rivers, she also relocated there to be close to her children while they attended the ashram. During this time, her husband continued his service in New Dwarka and would visit Three Rivers on the weekends along with other devotee parents. Now, residing in Alatra, Mother Sukhada is working on developing a grandmother program to assist younger devotees who may not have family nearby. This initiative is aimed at providing them with the guidance, support, and encouragement of senior devotees, fostering a nurturing and connected devotional community. Welcome to A Bond of Love, Sukhada Prabhu.
Thank you very much for having me tonight. Thank you. And I'd like to offer my obeisances to His Divine Grace. Nama Om Vishnu Budaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskacha Deshatarane. All glories to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada.
Oh, gracious Prabhupada. First of all, well, thank you for participating in the A Bond of Love book. Why did you choose to participate in this book?
Well, to be honest, I almost had to be talked into participating because when I didn't really think that my service compared to all my other God sisters' service was as significant. So many will tell you stories about going out and distributing all of those big books. And by the time the big book distribution came about, I had already had my first child. And at that point, when I had my first child, my focus was with being a mother. And so I didn't go out and I didn't distribute big books. And I didn't really have a lot of I didn't have personal association with Srila Prabhupada. And so I was thinking, oh, I wonder if I have that much to offer. But when I was talking with some of my god sisters about coming on and being interviewed, they were saying, definitely you should do it. You're coming from a different perspective than a lot of the other women. And so with their encouragement, I agreed to do the interview.
And so thankful for that, because you did a great service, although you may not have thought it that way. But the Srila Prabhupada always emphasized, please take care of these children. They are the future of our society.
Yeah. And then over the years, sometimes I would be approached and people and other younger devotees would say, oh, what was your service? And I used to say, well, I did a lot of everything, but I was really just a mother. And somebody overheard me saying that one time, and they said, don't say that. Don't say you were just a mother. That was most important service. So never say that again. So I did stop saying that in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, very important, particularly to our young devotee mothers, that sometimes they think or they feel the same way. Well, I'm just a mom. I'm just at home. It's like there's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Raising a child is not easy.
And not easy. It's not easy at all. No, especially our children, devotees. Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yes, and to your credit, I mean, you were by yourselves.
Yep, exactly. In those days, I didn't have any family around when I had all my children, so I know a lot. Well, here in Alachua, there's a lot of families, but there are also a lot of younger devotees that don't have families here, and they need support and encouragement.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. So I would like to start by asking you, how did you come to ISKCON? I mean, you were only 17 years old in high school.
Yeah. I was, it was the end of the summer of 1970, and I was just about to start my senior year of high school, and I was driving around one day with a girlfriend, and we stopped at this one spot that was kind of a hangout for kids. And when we were there were these two boys, and they were a little bit older than us, a few years older than us, but we knew them. And they were telling us about how they had been going up to Boston and they met these people, and they were really cool people. And they have this like a feast program on Sunday, and they were going to go to it, and they wanted to know if we wanted to go. And we thought, sure, why not? So we all went up to the Boston Temple. And so when I'm going there, I have no idea at all what this is, where I'm going. I don't know. They just said, oh, it's a cool place. And so when we go to the temple, and as we're approaching the temple, there's this boy on the front porch, and I take one look at him, and I think, whoa, this is different, because at that time, all the young men, they had long hair. That was the time. And this person, not only did he not have shorts or jeans on, he had this cloth on him that I couldn't figure that out. Mm-hmm. And then to top it all off, he had no hair, well, except for this little ponytail coming out of the back. And I thought, well, this is strange, and this is different. And as we approached, he had this flower in his hand, and he smells it, and he says, how can one say there is no God? And I was like, well, this is far out. I mean, I was just like, I thought, well, this is kind of cool. I mean, I was kind of open to anything.
Mhm.
And so on the porch was covered with shoes. And so he told us, just take your shoes off and go upstairs to the temple. And this is even the first time I'm hearing temple. I don't even know where I am. So we go upstairs, and the temple room is packed with young people, just a lot of people. And at this time, ISKCON Press was located at the Boston Temple. So there were actually a lot of devotees there at the temple at that particular time. So, but the temple room was packed with people. And at one point, well, there was a lot of chanting and people are dancing. And I'm just thinking, sure, why not? Okay. I don't know what's going on, and everything's cool. And then at one point, things stopped and people bent down. And when they bend down, I can see this altar. But the only thing I can really see are these, the Jagannath deities. They were huge. And I looked at them, and I haven't got a clue what these things are. But I thought, okay, I mean, whatever. So we stayed for a little bit of a lecture, and the devotee explained a little bit about what was going on. That was my first clue about a little bit about what was happening there. Then we went and took prasadam, and I really, really, really loved the prasadam. It was delicious. And then after that, I would go with my friends every Sunday for the Sunday feast. But then the two boys that had originally taken us, they actually moved into the temple. And my girlfriend, we just continued to go to the temple on Sundays. Then she stopped, but I kept going. And not only did I keep going, but I started skipping school to go. And I lived 45 minutes south of Boston in Rhode Island. And so I did have a car, and I would drive up there until my parents found out. And then the school found out that I was going. And then I was like, I got detention for skipping school because I used to write my own notes to, like, she was sick today, or she had a doctor's appointment. I would write all these notes. And so I kind of got a little bit of trouble for that. But, and my parents, I have two granddaughters right now that are 17 years old. And I was just thinking about this today, that I would be really worried if they came and they're telling me that, they're interested in this group. And they were telling me these weird things about this group, I would be really concerned. Well, my parents were very concerned. They thought it was like some type of cult or something that I had gotten involved in. And so I couldn't go to the temple for a while. I would still try to sneak up there and everything. But I did have to wait till I was 18 and I graduated from high school before I could move in. And once I knew I graduated, then I went to the temple. And one thing also is that I didn't go to my high school graduation. And one of the reason I didn't go was I actually forgot that it was my graduation. And my parents went to my graduation and I didn't show up. And I was at a college program with Srila Prabhu. He was Srila Prabhu then, Srila Maharaj. He was our temple president. And I didn't even remember. I didn't even think about it. And it was some days later when I was talking with my cousin, and my cousin said, your mom and dad went to your high school graduation. They were really upset because you weren't there. And so it's kind of my start as a devotee.
Well, what a start.
Yeah. So
wow. Amazing. So When did you meet? When did you meet Srila Prabhupada? Do you have any favorite memory of him? I know
Uh,
there's a special pastime regarding your initiation, and you would like to share.
well, so ISKCON Press, I told you ISKCON Press had been there when I first started going, but during the winter they moved down to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were only maybe 12, 13 devotees left in the temple. And most of us were all uninitiated. The Sasrupa Prabhu and this other devotee, Harinama Prabhu, they were the only initiated devotees at the time. So all of us were waiting to get initiated. And so Srila Prabhupada came in July of 71, and we were we were all excited about Srila Prabhupada coming. I had this dream, and it was a dream in my head, really, that when Srila Prabhupada came, because there was only 12, 13 of us, that we were going to get all of this private, personal association with Srila Prabhupada. We would be sitting around Srila Prabhupada, and he would be we would ask him questions, and he would, we would just be absorbed in the association of this pure devotee. And so this is what I was thinking all along, waiting up to that point when Srila Prabhupada was coming. But a few days before Prabhupada came, devotees started coming from everywhere. Now, usually when devotees would come and visit the temple, we were always excited to see new devotees. But this one particular time, I was thinking, go away, go back to wherever you came from, because this is our time with Srila Prabhupada. But that was in my mind, that we were just going to, have all this alone time with Srila Prabhupada. And that never happened, of course, because the temple filled up with devotees. I mean, I don't know how many ladies were sleeping in that, that 10 by 12 room. We were just, we just had sleeping bags wherever you could put it. But that was the way we lived anyway. We always just slept on the floor. And so when Srila Prabhupada came, we all went to the airport, and once he came, he was at the airport, and he sat down, and he gave a little talk, and we were all sitting on the floor at the airport all around him. And when he got up to leave, the devotees kind of spread out a little bit, so he had a little bit of a walkway. And so we all bent down, and we were paying obeisances. And when I bent down, I turned my head, and I was just looking at his lotus feet, and I was thinking to myself, this is the only time I'm really going to get close to Srila Prabhupada. I know it. So as soon as he got to me, I stood up really quickly, and I was right there, right next to him. And I guess whoever was, I think it was Bhargava was taking photos at that time, and he took a photo and it was of Srila Prabhupada. He's covered with all of these garlands, and I'm right next to him, just looking at him, so thankful that I got to be that close to the pure devotee. I was just, that was my moment. It was a moment in time, and I don't know. And then at that point, then he goes to the temple, and it's a Sunday. And so he goes to the Sunday feast, and he gives the lecture. And then after the lecture, Sasrupa Maharaj, he tells Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we're going to take you now to the hotel. And Prabhupada is taken aback by this. What do you mean that I'm going to a hotel? And he said, the country is in the mode of goodness. The city is in the mode of passion. And the hotel is just like a brothel. He said, but the temple is Vaikuntha. And so he would not go to the hotel. So they kind of scrambled, and the room that a lot of the brahmacharis were in, that they cleared it all out, and they set it up very quickly for Srila Prabhupada to stay in there. And of course, at that time, right before Prabhupada came, we did a whole thing, and the temple was newly painted. I think this was a thing within ISKCON, that when Prabhupada came, you painted you painted the inside. It always smelled like fresh paint when Srila Prabhupada came. So that, I think those were, my two wonderful memories of Srila Prabhupada.
Well, you definitely got your me moment.
Yeah.
Your in a way, your desire, like, come on, just go. I would probably, that allows you to be close, to be able to be close to Srila Prabhupada at that
and the
moment.
thing is, also, excuse me, the Boston Temple at the time, there were only two bathrooms, the Brahmachari bathroom and the Brahmacharini bathroom. It had, they weren't very large bathrooms. I never really went into the Brahmachari bathroom, but the Brahmacharini bathroom just had a small shower stall and one toilet. And I think that was all that was in the Brahmachari bathroom too. So they gave the Brahmachari bathroom to Srila Prabhupada. So all the rest of the devotees had to use that other bathroom. And so they made a schedule where, like, the women could go in there on the even hours, and the brahmacharis could do the odd hours. And I realized one morning that I have to get up really early so that I can shower and everything and make sure I'm there for Mangal Arati. But because if I don't get in there before all of these women get in there, I'm not going to make it, because I don't even know how many women. There were a lot of women there. So I get up I think it was probably 2:00 in the morning, and I go down the stairs. And as I get to the bottom of the stairs, here's Srila Prabhupada coming out of the Brahmachari bathroom. He's just finished his duties, and I just bent down right away and offered my obeisances. I wasn't expecting Srila Prabhupada at that moment, but if I had really thought about it, those are the early hours of the morning when Srila Prabhupada did most of his translating and his work and everything. And it was a wonderful time.
So you got not once but twice. You got your me moments with him.
Yeah. Yes.
So that was a very personal. You were craving for a personal
association.
So you got it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, even if we sat around with Srila Prabhupada, even if it was a small group of us, I probably would have been too overwhelmed to even ask him a question. I probably would have just been trying to soak up his association.
That's amazing. That's amazing. If you could share one thing about Srila Prabhupada, what would you want people to know?
I think that Srila Prabhupada, he was the real deal. He was not a charlatan. He was truthful and honest, and he had a wonderful way of communicating with everyone. And he was very patient. He was very patient with, especially in those early days, because we had to learn a lot. We knew nothing, and he had to teach us all. And so if we were slow to understand what he was trying to tell us, then he would explain again very, very patiently. And I would just talk to people about his qualities like that when you were in his presence, you knew that his focus was on Krishna and his desire was to spread Krishna consciousness. And his desire was for his disciples to learn how to love Krishna. And in 1968, there was a radio program. It was in San Francisco, and the person that was interviewing Srila Prabhupada, he was a very, very nice man. And he was asking very nice questions of Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada was so nice and kind and very clear in what he was explaining. And at the end of the interview, the interviewer said, "Well, what do you want for your disciples?" And he says, "To love Krishna." And that's what he always, that's what he wanted for us, just to love Krishna. So,
which is in those to love Krishna, it's the whole spectrum.
yes,
A lot of deep meaning, and his most important instruction, right? Always remember Krishna, never
right.
forget Krishna.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, and when or how did Prabhupada engage you in Krishna services? Is there and when did you came to know the meaning of your name, Sukhada? When you got initiation in a particular way?
Well, okay. So when Prabhupada was in Boston in 71, after the next morning, Monday morning, his servant, let's see, the servant was, I can't quite remember who his servant was at the time. I can't quite remember, but his servant came up into the temple room and said he was going to be doing the cooking, but he needed help in the kitchen. And so nobody wanted to go down and help him because Srila Prabhupada was going to be coming up to the temple room, and everybody wanted to be with Srila Prabhupada, of course. So I was really thinking, well, I thought a couple of things. First of all, I'm not really into crowds, and it was very crowded in the temple room. So I thought, maybe this is something I should do. I should go down into the kitchen and help. And so that's what I did. I went down to the kitchen and I helped. And practically I was down there pretty much the whole time Srila Prabhupada was here. And Srila Prabhupada did initiations. He did initiations twice. And he also did the deity installation of Radha Gopi Vallabha. And in the temple room, in the kitchen, they didn't have any kind of speaker system that we were actually hearing Srila Prabhupada talk. So I was down there not really knowing what was going on up in the temple room. When Srila Prabhupada left, right after he left, I was still in the kitchen. Sasvarupa Maharaj, he comes into the kitchen and he says to me, "What name did Srila Prabhupada give you?" And I said, "Well, I didn't get initiated. I've been down in the kitchen the whole time Prabhupada's been here." And Sasvarupa says, "You were supposed to have gone up and got initiated." And I said, "Yeah, but nobody came and got me." And he said, "Okay." He said, I'm going to write a letter to Srila Prabhupada about you. And I'm going to have Harinam Prabhu take it right away down to New York, give it to Srila Prabhupada so that you get initiated before Srila Prabhupada leaves for London. And so Harinama took the letter down. And in the letter, which Sasrupa gave me the letter that he wrote about me. So, and it said that I've been doing service and that how my mother didn't want me to be in the temple, but because I was 18, it was all right that I was there. He made a point of saying that it was okay that I was there. I was old enough to be there. And that I would collect dakshin and send it to him. And Prabhupada wrote on the letter on what Satsrupa had written. Prabhupada, in his handwriting, he wrote, Sukhada Devi, one who gives pleasure to Krishna. So when Harinama came back with the letter, and Satsrupa gave it to me, and I treasured that letter until about not too long ago, when I saw Ekanath. I was telling him about my letter, and he wanted it for the archives, and so I did give my letter.
Yeah, that's amazing.
To the archive.
Beautiful memory.
I have a copy of it, but he has the original.
Well, yet there's another personal moment, because if thanks to that, you were able to get, that personal connection with him.
It was, and I thought about, at first I was so disappointed that I wasn't there with Srila Prabhupada and, him handing me the beats and everything. But then I thought, but wow, he learned something about me. He just, heard a little bit about me and was, kind of grateful for my service. And, so when I thought more about it, I thought, it's okay. I'm glad that I got this, Prabhupada's handwriting saying my name and everything. So I like that.
Amazing. Amazing. See the Lord in your heart, and the connection with the spiritual masters, fulfilling your desire.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yes.
Amazing. Amazing. What are some of the things that you are grateful to Srila Prabhupada for?
Things that I'm grateful for Prabhupada. Oh, I mean, his books. I mean, when I first became a devotee, there were very few books. The Bhagavad Gita was the small, little purple Bhagavad Gita. And I think there was a Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm sorry, not Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Upanishad. There were a few Bhagavatams, but not many, because Prabhupada was still translating the Bhagavatams. And mostly that Prabhupada always taught us by his own example how to live the life of a devotee. And sometimes we didn't do that, but he was always setting the example for us. And so he never stopped preaching, and he was constantly traveling just to spread Lord Chaitanya's movement. And his whole life is something that we're just all grateful for, and that we were fortunate to be in his presence at that time.
How to live the life of a devotee. Very important. Very important.
Very, very important. Yeah.
And he mentioned in many places that example is better than precept.
Yes.
And he himself was a walking example of that.
Yeah.
And that continues to this very day, right?
Yes. Yes.
So now let me ask
we
you.
always have to be thinking, if we have choices to make in our life, we always have to be thinking, what would Prabhupada do? What would Prabhupada say? Those kind of things can help keep us on that straight and narrow.
So let me ask you now, we're having these wonderful memories, and what inspired you to create the grandmother program, and how do you envision it from benefiting young and devotees who may not have family nearby?
So when I was a young mother myself, I had no family around me, and I had no help, and it was very, very difficult. We took our children. We lived in the temple, so we took our children every day to Mangal Arati, greeting the deities, Guru Puja, evening Arti. We did all that with our children, and it was just it was a time that when you had that if you needed any help, there was nobody to help you because we didn't have any older people around. We didn't have any older people around to tell you or encourage you in your service as a new mother. And so we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants and raising our children in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada he gave a lot of instructions actually for new mothers. There's one letter that he wrote to Arundhati in 1972. You're probably familiar with that letter. It's a very popular letter. And if you don't mind, if I could read that letter.
Please.
Okay. It is written in July of 72, and Prabhupada writes, "My dear Arundhati, please accept my blessings. I am in due receipt of your letter dated July 19th, 1972, and I am simply surprised that you want to give up your child to some other persons, even they are also devotees. For you, child worship is more important than deity worship. If you cannot spend time with him, then stop the duties of pujari. At least you must take good care of your son until he is 4 years old. And if after that time you are unable anymore to take care of him, then I shall take care of him. These children are given to us by Krishna. They are Vaishnavas, and we must be very careful to protect them. These are not ordinary children. They are Vaikuntha children, and we are very fortunate we can give them a chance to advance further in Krishna consciousness. That is a very great responsibility. Do not neglect it or be confused. Your duty is very clear." And I had remembered this letter, and I had remembered reading this and hearing about it because in the early days, letters were kind of circulated around the temples. And I remembered this letter, and I always thought to myself, when I have children, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a mother, and I'm going to take care of these children. They are Vaikuntha children, And so that was always my idea, that I hope I would be in a situation where I would be able to fulfill my duties as a mother. And Krishna blessed me. Krishna blessed me with a wonderful husband. He had great service that allowed me to be a good mother and to stay with my children. When the Gurukula school moved up to Three Rivers from the LA temple, I also moved up there because my two older children were in the ashram. And I wanted to make sure my children were always safe and they were always happy. And when they were up there, my children did go in and out of the ashram often, because if I saw that they weren't doing well, then I would take them out. And then they would go to go up to the Gurukula as a day student, although they didn't really have day students, but they did allow me to do that mostly because of my husband. But when my children wanted to go back, then I let them go back into the ashram, but I was always there, making sure that they were safe and that they were well cared for.
This is so important.
It's very, very important, and I am I am forever thankful that Krishna provided me with the ability to do that, because not all mothers had that opportunity to do that. And we all know the terrible history of that first generation of the Gurukula children, that they were not treated nicely. That the school up in Three Rivers, most of the teachers were parents themselves, and so it was a nice school up there. But in other places, of course, everybody knows that the different histories of Vrindavan and Mayapur, places where you would think the children would be so well protected, in the Holy Lands, and parents, sent them there, and it was horrendous. It was terrible. I'm glad that I didn't have to do that, and I didn't do that. So I feel blessed that way, that my children, they're all very good children, and well, they're not children anymore, that first generation,
And you have 10 grandchildren.
I have 10 grandchildren. Yep. And so my husband and I moved here to Alachua in 2021, because my grandchildren were getting older. I was still living in that Three Rivers area. And so I moved here to Alachua. We moved here to Alachua because we're more Prabhupada disciples here. And we wanted to reconnect with our God brothers and God sisters and be closer to a temple. And so I do miss my grandchildren. I miss my children, but I do go to visit them quite often, and they do come here to visit me. But while I'm here, I was thinking, and it's just really a recent thing that I'm trying to get together. I'm trying to put it together, that senior devotees will become some like mentors for these younger women who, like myself, had nobody to help them when their children were younger, no family around. There's a lot of families here in Alachua. It's a very large community, but as many that do have families, there's that many do not have families here, and they're all alone, and they could use some help. Someone has a baby, they have no family. What if they have postpartum depression or something, or they have a newborn and they're tired. The newborn keeps them awake all night. Maybe they need to take a nap. They just need someone to come over for an hour, 2 hours, something that, maybe since there are so many senior devotees here, maybe, if we all got together, we could help out these younger moms. And sometimes all we need to do is go in there and talk and sit down and just talk with the new mom and encourage them that you can do this, and there's light at the end of the tunnel, and things might seem difficult, but there's always people that you can reach out to. So we're getting this together. There's some senior women who have volunteered with me to do this, and then the moms, there's a WhatsApp group for new moms. And so it's been posted on there that if you need any help with anything, they can call me, and either I will go, or I can send someone else that's on my list to go over and be with them for a while and get to know what their situation is, what kind of help that they might need. So we're getting it together. We're getting it together.
Well, thank you so much for such a wonderful, caring disposition.
It's a new program here in Alachua, so I'm hoping it goes well. I have a young mother coming over to my house tomorrow just to talk, and she's new to the community, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to meeting so many of the younger people. Oh, they're just so wonderful. They are so so Krishna conscious, so Krishna conscious.
And
I'm
it's
going to benefit so much by this, by their association. Yeah.
And it's so important because if they know and they feel the loving care and sincerely, that
Yeah.
somebody's there caring for them, they will feel more connected, not
Right.
only to the community, for to Krishna. It says, yes, this is a community. This is what Krishna consciousness is all about. Coming together, cooperating with each other, right? Srila
Right.
Prabhupada emphasized cooperation. So it seems that the inspiration from Srila Prabhupada has been with you all throughout, and now you are
Yeah.
sharing it with somebody
Yeah.
else
And
and in need.
and
So
when I was a young mother and everything,
mhm.
um, motherhood, it wasn't really a thing for devotees to look favorably upon back then. It just wasn't. Everybody was out distributing books, and mothers were kind of down, were really way down on the totem pole of whatever it was, whatever status it was. We were very low on the totem pole because we weren't going out distributing the books. If we were just being mothers, because there weren't that many of us that weren't going out distributing books. But there was a letter also in 1969 that Prabhupada had written to Hayagriva, and he said, always take care of the children. They are our future hopes. And he actually said it in many letters. He would tell parents, this is our future. Always take care of the children. So that it was such an important thing. And in those early days, we kind of failed in some aspects. We failed those early children by not taking care of them properly. And so now, and I see it here in Alachua, totally opposite. The children are very, very well taken care of. And they come to the temple every Wednesday morning. The Bhaktivedanta Academy brings the children over, and they do the Guru Puja program, and they kind of they sing all the prayers. It's wonderful to have the temple room filled with all the children and everything. So it's very enlivening. It's very enlivening to see all the young children and realizing this is the future. This is the future. So,
I'm so thankful you're bringing this to notice, because again, not only at that time, probably at the time motherhood was being seen as, okay, you're just a mother, right? You need to
right?
go out and distribute books,
Yes,
without understanding that not investing in our children, not paying attention to our children will be very costly.
very, very costly. Yes,
Very
yes,
costly. And right now we have these times, some young mothers feel like they are being punished for being mothers, because you have to work outside the house because economical situations, whatnot, and they
right.
don't have that support. And sometimes they feel that motherhood is not something that you have to enjoy, but rather a burden on you, and
Yeah.
it's not.
And
It's
motherhood is much different today than it was even in my day, you
mhm.
know. But there's so much that the older and senior devotees can offer to mothers, just even if it's their company for an hour, just to hold their baby, or talk and play with their young children, and whatever we see, maybe bring them a little mahaprasadam, something that they know that they're not alone, that there's somebody that they can reach out to and just say, can you just help me out? I really need help.
Yes, I feel that. I have two daughters. One is a young mother, uh, and she works. And yeah, sometimes I wish there was someone around her just to help her because it's just so much.
Right.
And sometimes people do not understand, what really mother goes through. If you don't have enough sleep, if you didn't have time to cook, if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care of a child or
Right.
anyone? So it's an amazing service that you're doing. Thank you so much. How can younger devotees and senior members of the community participate and contribute to this program?
Well, any of the senior devotees that want to be part of the program, they just get in contact with me.
Okay.
And I put them on a list, and then we just wait for the younger devotees to reach out. And this one younger devotee who's new to the community, and she reached out to me, and what she was saying was, I didn't know if I should do this. I don't want to bother anybody. And I said, you're not bothering anybody. This is what we want to do. We want to do this service. And we're so happy that you took this step to, to reach out to us. So we don't want the young mothers to think that they're so they're so overwhelmed as it is that they're going to be a burden by calling a senior devotee. So we don't want that. We want them to call and say, I just need a little help. We all need a little help, right?
Exactly. There's nothing wrong in asking for help. On the contrary, getting help and getting yourself, taken care of will allow you to taking care of others. And I really hope that your initiative, you know, picks up in many places because we have young mothers everywhere, and we have
And all we have
wonderful
to do is
examples.
all we have to do, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to put together as many quotes as I can find that Srila Prabhupada was encouraging about the children and taking care of the children and the duties of the mothers and the parents and everything, just so that they know you're on the right track. This is what you're supposed to be doing at this time in your life. You're young, you're a nice young family. You can do this.
Please let
So
us know how we can help you out with that. That will be wonderful. We need to care for each other.
we
We
do.
need to invest in our children because again, they're our future.
They
What we
are our
do,
future.
what we do today or neglect today is going to be reflected tomorrow.
Right.
So very important.
Yeah.
Um, we are come to almost the end of the program. It has gone very quickly. Any last words you will want to share with us?
Well, I had been thinking about some of the things I was grateful to Srila Prabhupada for, and the thing I've really been focusing on this in the last couple of years since my husband's passing, and I was thinking about how Prabhupada always talked to us about death and dying, and when I was thinking about that, I thought I related to what Prabhupada was saying in three ways. When Srila Prabhupada passed, I was not that I was okay with his physical passing. Of course, I was going to miss him and everything, but I was more connected with Srila Prabhupada through his teachings, through all his books. That was my connection with Srila Prabhupada, and so I had that, and then after a couple of months later, when my daughter passed away, things were still a little impersonal within the temples about everything, really. And so when she passed away, I had a very difficult time with that. And I was very, very angry with Krishna. Very angry with Krishna. Why did you do this? Why did you do this? She's 2.5 years old. She went to Mangal Artik every day. She went to Guru Puja. She greeted the deities. She went to evening arti. Every day she associated only with devotees, had only prasadam, and you took her away from me. Why did you do that? So in my grief, I was very angry, although I knew the philosophy, and I had to go through that alone, really alone, because for my husband, the way he dealt with it was he dove deeper into his service. And for me, my service was my children, and then I lose one. And so I was very angry. And the other devotees, they all had their services. I didn't really have anybody to talk to. And so I was alone. And at that time, I even started having panic attacks because I felt so alone. And so I had that. And it took me so many years to kind of course, get over that. And then when my husband passed away, it was the opposite of how I felt with my daughter, where I was very thankful to Krishna for all he had given us. You know, we had 50 years together, we were devotees, and we had come to Alachua, and we were associating with all our god brothers and god sisters. And my husband, in his last year, he had become ill, and it was Krishna's mercy that he passed when he did, so he wouldn't have to suffer. And so I had to really dive, because even with my husband, I've been going through such grief, but I've really had to dive into Srila Prabhupada's books. Again, I have to go back to the very beginning, what all the things Prabhupada has taught us. And we always have to be prepared. Prabhupada was always telling us that we always have to be prepared, because death can come at any moment. And so I'm just always so grateful for what Srila Prabhupada has given us. And the mercy, this is all such mercy that he has bestowed upon us, that we can, and it all comes back to what he said he wanted with his disciples, to love Krishna. So I just say that.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for sharing this priceless memories and insights. Srila Prabhupada's presence continues to shine through his disciples and the service they offer to the community. So we hope this conversation inspires many to deepen their connection with his teachings and legacy. If you would like to explore more of Sukhada Prabhu's memories, along with those of other female disciples of Srila Prabhupada, you can find them in this wonderful book, A Bond of Love, available on Amazon. Let's take full advantage of this opportunity to learn from them. Sukhada Prabhu, it's been a pleasure. Once again, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this wonderful service that you are doing. You are truly investing not only in the children and the mothers. We wish you all the best with the grandmother program, and let us know if we can be of any service.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.